뭐야 다 들어요 가서 뒤에 뒤뒤지 놀았더니 니깔기 다들기 간디지 그래 사다 뒤걸더니 대제 대시자네 아니 다 강갈더니 로제 강갈 배토야거든요 저와요스.
So then today in this short time, in terms of what will help us to achieve temporary happiness, in terms of what will help us to achieve ultimate happiness for ourselves and others, I wanted to explain a little bit about that.
하고 살아왔어. 다 론이 등아 잡고 놀았더니 좀 밀리라. 아니 손지 쫓는 데서. 같이 배워 왔어. 다 공기 가르침 바래서나. 다 맞을 끼고 그거요. 다 타마타마 누가 땐데 매워서 그거요. 하고 살아왔어. 강가 로로 또 같이 뭐 가리서는 여서 희요. 스파비지 희세.
So then 2,500 years ago, when the teacher Buddha Shakyamuni came to the world, in terms of something that he said that was beneficial to ourselves and others, both in order to achieve temporary happiness and to be able to get rid of suffering completely, we could talk about this as the 4 Arya potentials, 4 points that are very important.
하고 살아왔어. 다 대가르레 잘라바이나 다 세거게 하고 살아와서 다 할레비 또 집변조 첨부 있는데 변조 저라 매바 이나요. 세계 손으로 또도 그게 마시나 가디나 강에 돼야지. 세계 손으로 또도 시나 할레비더니 가르세 요난다 할레비 또 첨부 있나나 또 첨부 매나요. 그게 가디나 끼고 돼야 내지지요.
So then these relate to just a reality of whether we are rich or poor, it is our way of thinking that determines our suffering or happiness. So even if we are extremely wealthy but we don't know how to think, we will not be happy. So these 4 Arya potentials, they pointed a way to think, to be able to have a state of happiness whatever one's circumstances is, whether one is rich, whether one is of more limited means, and so forth.
아까 살아와서 다 세계 손으로 또도지 마시나 가제 매치 못 잡아 가제 뺀지 못 잡아이나 근데 뒤 요벌 논이라 가디 이나 근데 세라 너도 뭐 저와 뭐 같은 가서 다다이나 빠지지나요 뭐지 통통이야 수수래.
So it depends upon our way of thinking. If we don't know how to direct our way of thinking, then the more wealthy we get, the more famous and well-known we get, we'll actually see that what happens is that there are more doubts and more false projections that are arising in the mind. And so, we can see this very clearly in the world with many successful people.
다 파피리 시사지 하고 살아와서 파피리 시세를 당가로서 제 도번로 그거요나 리시테 버게 세르냐 아니라 하고 살아왔더니 갈갈은 그거지.
So this brings me to the explanation of the 4 potentials of the noble ones, or the 4 potentials of the Aryas, which is something that we will need to practice until we reach a higher level in our spiritual development.
하고 살아와서 리시테 가르레 잘라바이나 하더니 다 같이 못해 아니 럼바 동보텔라 아니 갈세가리 아니 갈세가리 다 내망 영예존이 주바 바베리 내마세리 눌러도 다 되게잖아 하고 살아와 아니 할레비 가디나 야쇼 주주소노 마도와지 단내시 너거래 사디 소노도야 드리지.
So the first of these 4 sort of means, or the 4 potentials of the Aryas, is regarding nesarwa. Is contentment regarding one's abode. So being So the first regards the place where one dwells, one's own house. If one is always greedy, wanting to have the perfect conditions all the time, then this is going to cause one distress. So what one needs to have is one needs to have an attitude of contentment with the place where one dwells, thinking that this is comfortable enough, thinking that this is good enough.
다니 비찰 당긴라에데 유로도 다 소소 보게 되지요. 와스 다 대지나 가디나 비타보 주주소는 마도와지 오다 드리지 그래 좀 선서지요나 아네 오 세기나 보게 야보도야지 가네.
So then the second one is not regarding the abodes, but this one is actually regarding our clothes and the other conditions and so forth. So our clothes, our possessions, and so forth. So not always grasping at having the top quality or the nicest and so forth. Just thinking that what I have serves my needs. It is good enough. Thinking that this is okay. Being content. So yeah, so happy news. So the next is to be content with the offerings of food and sustenance that we get. So thinking that this is okay, this is good enough. And so principally then, this was advised by the Buddha to his monk and nun disciples, but it's actually something that all of us can benefit from. So these two, the potential of the Aryas to be content with the place where one dwells and to be content with one's possessions and to be content with one's food and so forth. So in this way we have covered having an attitude of contentment with the place where one dwells, the food that one has, and the clothes and other possessions that one enjoys. So then in this way I have covered the first essential parts of these three ways of the Aryas, which is contentment with one's food, contentment with one's shelter, and contentment with one's clothes. And this brings us to the fourth of these points. And the next one, yeah. Okay. And the next one is a liking for abandoning that which should be abandoned and for cultivating meditation. So then this point is related to the faults of our body, speech, and mind. So being able to cultivate the practices that help us to abandon those faults, and then meditating in a way that helps us to cultivate those positive qualities. So what we first need to do is to know the faults and qualities, and then people like meditation, so we need to meditate to develop those qualities. Yeah. So if we even just want to be happy in this very life, just thinking from the perspective of one lifetime, then these points about what we need to abandon and what we need to familiarize ourselves with, what we need to cultivate through meditation, are particularly important.
메바 그건도 소마존지 맨로고 was.
So if we know through our own experience, if we think about the negative habits that we have, if we think about the unpleasant feelings, if we think about the sort of bad patterns and so forth that we have, we understand that in order to really meaningfully be able to change those, we need to cultivate meditation, and we need to change what we're familiar with, to familiarize ourselves with the antidotes. We understand that we can't just deal with these problems of unpleasant feelings, false projections, negative habits, and so forth simply by prayers and requesting for help.
하고서라와서 미빈지 시시워시 원두와스 뽕아도 곰바 스페나 쿠론다 보이나 오파 뽕 그건도 메와서 그건도
Yeah.
하고서라와 디엔님보 제와도 som바 지공 그거도 손대선스 지문도나 하고서라와 대 요나 드는 레가스 니네 제야 레와지와.
So, for example, if we speak about abandoning the affliction of anger, so we want to solve the problem of anger, so we want to abandon the affliction of anger, we can see how this fits in very nicely with meditation, which the word in Tibetan gom means to familiarize. So we won't be able to get rid of anger until we familiarize ourselves with patience and meditate on that. And then in this way, we can cultivate the antidote.
하고서라와 자세 좀 보셔와라가 간단히 좀 보세요. 이내지나.
Yeah.
어떤 가로서 내서 마시나 가디나 실로 여다가야 조조소로 돈에 되그랬대 노대가 그랬어. 실로 여다 조조 매가서는 어서 자대바이나 여다치 매가서나 보이네는 여다치 여다 스틸레. 대 매가서는 스마치레. 그래. 유야만도 가디나.
So Shantideva, he expressed this very beautifully. He said that if we are always trying to focus on the outer problems, then as soon as we defeat one outer problem or enemy, we know that because of the nature of samsara, then another one will arise. If we defeat the second problem, a third one will arise. As long as we are focused externally, another problem will always follow the one that we solve.
하고서라와서 다 소소로 요야 니네 여다 그거 만도 여다 가고 만도나 소소로 심지 마도야 말이야.
Semchik mato. Oh, is it?
이네 지나
Yeah.
하데네서 저와 세지데 여보 수쇼서 도나 하고서라와서 어다도 소소 가디이나 실로 여다 강가 디고 더 그래.
So if we think about the problems from this perspective, we understand the problems are numerous, but we only have one mind. So if we are able to guard and protect our mind, then the mind state will remain happy. We'll be able to cope with any different problem that arises.
야 나도 빼니야 거모토 연문도와 빼나 롱가 소소 가디이나 로그사치 롱가 강가라 할레비 그게 전문다와 로카보
Oh, Jay.
하고서라와서
Semosana topo taboji.
말은 생각을 좀 야 괜찮더니 롱가 알아.
알레, 로소,
하고서라와서
야.
어떤 담담 뭐지 하나
Uh-huh.
다 대표 정화선에 대대나 알레 코로 안도 머셀 존나 저 토고 말아.
Yeah.
하고서라와 델리 소소 로고 할레 꼬아 로고라고 봐. 할레비 피다 보지. 뭐지 하나? 근데 도대 워전으로 도 와서 어따 빼대는 거지.
So Geshe was just saying that you can think of a beautiful example, whereas if you think that you need to traverse a road which is uneven and maybe has like some sharp and unpleasant objects on it, then it wouldn't make much sense to try and clear and sweep the entire road. That wouldn't be very practical. But what you would do is you would try to find a good pair of shoes or sandals, and on the basis of those good shoes or sandals, you would be able to walk along the road to your destination.
하고서라와서 어따 소소 공부시나 하고서라와서 야보체네 그게 공부시나 요한 롬부터 그 심지 좀 문두다 세두자 강가 바삐 도근데 세 야바 강가 시터 도고 지템 좀부터 그 세지 좀 문두.
We understand that through cultivating positive habits, through the power of familiarity, there is nothing that we cannot change. There is no negative mind or habit that we cannot diminish, and there is no positive mind or habit that we cannot cultivate. It is definitely something we are capable of.
하고서라와서 어따 가로서 이내레바 야보도 그제 소소 야보도나 하고서라와서 뭐저 야본 로그나 그와 어 이니 menje 세게 시 가르리 세게 예대 가르리 어따 대니 봐 야와신 무슨 도나 되네 개방이나 되네.
So if we have a good brain and we want to use our intelligence, then we first familiarize ourselves with the faults of the mind, the negative minds that we need to get rid of. And then we think about wholesome qualities, the positive mental qualities we need to cultivate, and we proceed like this. This is something that all of us can do.
하고서 와서 다 들이 된다 쪼등이 파비리 시대
Yep.
마 진짜 내가 지금 주스 데이터 파비리 시대 간디세는 이제 매 소소 도노트나 때문에 배도요.
So, in terms of today's talk, it was mainly focused on the four qualities or the four potentials of the Aryas. And so, if this is something that you can familiarize yourself with, it will bring tremendous benefit.
야 뒤에 대장 시대.
Thank you very much, Tashidele. I shall pause here.
이래서 저는
Yungi re da